somebody walking down the street, don't you? And they're whistling. You think they're having a good day, huh?
Right, right.
Yeah.
Just going about their merry way. You know, if they're working behind their computer, boss is like, oh yeah, you know.
Right.
Go to another country. If you're whistling in front of an elder, you're being rude.
Wow.
You can't whistle in front of an elder.
Okay.
So, if I go to that country, and I'm a whistler by nature, I just like to whistle, and I'm in front of an elder and I understand their culture, love would say, I won't whistle.
Right. Right.
I'm free to whistle, but I won't whistle because I understand that the culture and where you're at, that's impolite to you, or that's rude to you. Now those are some real simple basic ones, aren't
Yes,
they?
yeah.
That we may have never thought of, but even within our own confines, there are things that we feel that is rude for somebody to do, but for that person is not rude. Okay? And so we just have to be aware of that and understand that if the person is somehow offended by it because of where they're at, then love says that I don't do it. I won't do it.
That's right.
Because love is not rude. And what's rude to you, I honor that. But it may not be rude to somebody else. So, I really was able to start to kind of get my arms around it a little bit. Do you believe that culture is changing? Has the culture changed?
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, the culture has changed quite a bit. I mentioned pants. Pants used to be an absolute no-no in church. In most churches, pants were absolute no-no. You just don't wear them in church. Now, if you wore them outside church, that's fine. You just don't wear them inside church. And it wasn't scriptural or biblical or anything like that. It was just something that was passed down that women shouldn't do. In most churches today, do women wear pants?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay now, isn't it? It's accepted. Was there a push and a crunch to get through it? Yes, it was. Had to break down some barriers. You know, in this church we talk about hats a lot. And so one would say, how does love fit all into this? You know, but it gets to the same thing. It gets to the same point. That in our culture, the culture has changed. It used to be the culture was that, at least the way I was raised is you walk into a building, it doesn't matter what kind of building it is, you take the hat off. Right? That was just what men did. The culture has changed somewhat. All you got to do is look at TV now. People are doing interviews with hats on. Anybody notice that?
Yeah.
I mean, they literally, even sports announcers do the announcing with a hat on. So the culture has changed, and it seems to be more acceptable to people.
Right.
But it's not a law. It's nothing violating God. But I looked at it a couple of weeks ago and I said, wow, look at that. I never even noticed it before. And it's like the Holy Spirit brought it to my attention that this newscaster is actually, or the sportscaster is actually sitting here at the little round table talking about the sports, and he's got his hat on. And then I started really paying attention and trying to see how many athletes actually give their interviews with their hat on.
Okay.
Quite a few, Jerry. A lot. A lot. And is it bad, indifferent? I mean, it's just how the culture is. Does it violate God? No. You know, so if there is a person that's never been trained this way, and that's their culture, that's the culture that they have, then if I'm not from that culture, let me say I am from that culture. Now, let me flip it. I am from that culture because we're still dealing with rude in a sense. And I am from that culture. And I know I'm okay. I mean, it doesn't bother God. But I'm in a culture of people that was raised different, and it does bother them. And to them it's rude. Then my love, as the one who has it on, my love say I can take it off.
Sure.
Right.
Pastor, speaking about a culture, when you were talking about a sportscaster interviewing, a female interviewing a male athlete, they call her man. Now that one's always hard. It's hard for me to swallow. I ain't feeling that. Man.
I'd never heard that one before.
They do it a lot.
Really? Oh, wow. See?
The culture.
Now, for most women, that would be totally rude, right? I think.
Yes.
You hope.
It would be totally rude. If I'm a ball player or whoever, the one being interviewed, if I understand that, and even though this culture that I'm a part of does that,
They do it.
my love won't allow me to do that.
That's right.
My love just won't allow me to do
I
it.
ain't feeling it.
Even though the culture is doing it, it's okay with the culture. Because I'm being rude to the person that I'm dealing with. You see how personal it gets and how down to the point it gets? We just gotta understand sometimes where a person is at
Sure.
and how they've been raised and what they've dealt with to know how you gotta deal with them and what you present before them. Right?
Kiana has the best friend,
Just turn the Bible study.
and I insist on her calling me Miss, and she always forgets. And she says, "How long am I gonna have to call you Miss? Forever."
Right.
Okay, so her mother hates when Kiana calls her Miss. So Kiana has to remember not to say Miss Keisha. She has to just remember to say her name, and that's difficult for Kiana because in our family we always say
Right.
Miss,
Always.
and in theirs they don't.
See?
Right.
Another great point. I mean, these aren't major things, are they? I mean, Miss, call me Miss, don't call me Miss.
Right.
But for me, it's important. You know, a friend of mine, for me, if we're planning to do something and you don't call me and tell me you're not showing up, I don't get upset about it. Because after a certain time, I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Right.
I am not going to sit there all day and wait for you.
Right.
And I'm not going to call you. I'm done. I'm just going to go on with my day.
Yeah.
But for this individual, oh my God, I did not call him one time. And I got the royal blues. Like, how is it you could not have called me? I sat here all day waiting on you and blah, blah. I'm like, dude, when I was an hour late, you should have been gone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I knew in dealing with him, for that was kind of a sore spot for him. You know, that was,
That's right.
if you will, some kind of not being polite, some kind of ill-manneredness. You know, you didn't think about me in this. And so he's the only friend that I have that if I ain't going to make it, I call him. I ain't coming.
That's love.
Now, another friend of mine, if I don't call or I don't show up after a certain time, he say, Reg ain't going to make it.
Right.
He's gone.
He's out.
In this country, is timeliness important?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
When you go to another country, like Africa,
Mm-hmm.
they said, we Americans have the watch, but they got the time. That's what they told us.
Okay.
Because they were supposed to pick us up for a meeting
Okay.
at the hotel. It was an hour and a half before the guy giving us the ride to the meeting that was supposed to start at 7. He picking us up at 8:30, and we think we missed the meeting. So the guy I'm with, he's fussing and, what's wrong with you? And that's when the guy said, you Americans keep the watch.
Right.
We keep the time.
We keep it.
We get to the meeting, and the meeting was just starting.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I've learned in some research that I think it's in China, it's the same way. To say that an event starts at 11 really means if you get there at 12:30, you're gonna be all right. Yeah, but here it is rude for somebody to have a dinner engagement that starts at 4 and you show up at 5.
See.
We
Now
did.
you done held up the process,
Right.
folk trying to cook and got food prepared, but in another country, if you get there at 4, like they said, ain't no food gonna be cooked because they
Come on.
still preparing.
Yes. Yes.
It's crazy, ain't it?
Right.
But I love God because God says, y'all need to be able to deal with that.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
Love will allow you to be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
You know, where you might be the timeliest person in the world, I got to be on time. 10 minutes early. I was taught by my pastor, if you ask to speak at a church, you make sure you're there at least
Yes.
15, 20 minutes early.
Okay.
If you can't be there half an hour early, let them people know you're going to show up so they don't be wondering, is he going to show
Right.
up?
Right.
Sometimes you get to some churches 15, 20, 30 minutes early, ain't anybody at the church.
Come
Ain't
on.
even no church up here.
Come on. Come on.
But that's the way we were taught. And all it's saying is that with love, you know, love is flexible in a sense, and it's not rigid and stiff.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, because what bothers you that don't bother me, that got nothing to do with God.
Come on. Come on.
You see where I'm at?
Yeah.
I mean, all these things we discuss ain't got nothing to do with my Christianity.
Right.
Ain't got nothing to do with whether I'm making it to heaven or not. It got all to do with how we interact as brothers and sisters.
Yes. Come on. Come on now.
And so it's my responsibility to understand my brother and sister well enough to know that, I'm sorry, my brother or my sister was raised in an era where this wasn't right.
Right. Right.
It is not my responsibility to try to change them. God's okay with them.
Okay.
It's like getting married. Can I talk to the married folks?
Okay.
Getting ready to get married. It's like getting married. When you get ready to get married, don't have the thought in your mind that I'm going to change them once they say I do.
Come on, Pastor. Come on now. Come on.
Baby, the way you take them to the altar is the way you're going to have them when it's all said and done.
Come on.
This is not Barbie doll and Ken time. You don't get to dress them up and fix them up the way you want them to be and look.
That's right.
That's why you say, I love you.
Okay.
I love you for who you are. I love you for the way you are. I love the fact that I'm okay with Jerry letting poots
All right.
in the dining room.
All right.
I'm picking with him.
Come on.
He said, why you messing with me?
Say, Jerry.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I was messing with him. Yeah. But I'm okay with that.
Yes.
Okay, so they don't do it like I do it. You know how in some marriages big old fights break out because you didn't put the top on the toothpaste.
Right. Right.
Oh, okay. What else? You know, you didn't make the bed up when you got out. Where are we going with this? You know, you didn't take the trash out. Okay, where are we going with this? You know, I mean, none of this really has anything to do with our real relationship, does it? Nothing at all.